Every day is filled with choices. You're here because you're choosing to start with a win. Get ready to be inspired, learn something new, and connect with the Win Nation.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado, home of RE/MAX World Headquarters. It's Adam Contos, CEO with Start With a Win. How you doing, producer Mark?
So good.
Hey, guess what? Today we get to talk about kind of my two favorite things here. So, like leadership and sales business performance. So, I mean,
let's go.
I love these things. I love talking about leadership, and I love talking about sales and business performance. So, we've got a great guest. You ready to go, Mark?
Let's do this.
Awesome. Well, we have Eric Papp, who founded Agape Leadership, LLC, an intellectual capital firm focusing on leadership and sales for business performance with the sole purpose of driving leaders and their teams to success. I love this. Eric's a successful author. He's a public speaker. He's been doing that for over a decade, worked with thousands of managers to help their teams towards success. He's got a couple books out, as I mentioned, Leadership by Choice and 3 Values of Being an Effective Person, both with Wiley & Sons Publishing. They're both top sellers, recognized for the unique impact on business. So, Eric, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam, thanks so much for having me on. And a shout out to you. I saw your recent publication in Forbes. Whoa, that article, which is a great concept, and I love it. You know, the pain of discipline versus the pain of regret. And that's it right there, man. I love that. So shout out to you, and thanks so much for having me on the show.
Hey, thanks, Eric. Let's jump into your company here. Tell us about your organization. I mean, what inspired you to start the company? What do you see in its future? And what is really the key goal here of your company?
Yeah. So Agape Leadership LLC, that's I call it Agape Leadership, training and development. And the key, what is agape, right? So agape is the highest form of love. That's where it comes from. Like there's several words to describe love, eros, erotica, philia, brotherly, like the city of Philadelphia. And so I always thought, hey, the highest form of leadership is the highest form of love. And, self-sacrifice, giving to other people, unconditional. And really at the core of it is to help people elevate their level of performance, giving them something they can use today that can make them better off.
Can you give us some of the obstacles that people are facing when it comes to managing their day and ensuring that they get that productivity in properly?
Absolutely. So it's one of my staple programs, managing multiple priorities. And the biggest number one thing I see is we over commit, over promise, under deliver. And I always share with folks, hey, your capacity to generate ideas, to fill up your to-do list, to select tasks will always be more than your capacity to execute properly. And so it's like you really have to stop and say no. And the person that did this the best, and in terms of in our, on a pedestal in business, in the last century was Steve Jobs. It was his ability to say no to things was amazing. And we have to be like that. A lot of times we just want to fill things up because a lot of times that's habitual thinking of like, oh, well, if I'm not doing anything, well, then people think I'm lazy. Oh, if I'm not doing anything, and it's like, no, activity drives out thought. So if you don't have the bandwidth to come up with an idea, if you don't have the bandwidth to think strategically, then we just get caught up in doing things. And a lot of times we're doing things and we don't have a level of certainty or belief in them. So then we never get to our goal because we're trying way too many different things when really it's taking a step back and working on that inner part, that inner game.
And you have to know your no. And K-N-O-W, your N-O. It is freeing to use that word, whereas we were raised with that word being condemnation. It's your parents would say no to different things. But the reality is it's the most powerful word that gives you freedom in this, in this world. So, I mean, do you think that is one of the key reasons why business leaders get overwhelmed?
I think it does go back. You're right on. You're dead on something, Adam. You're spot on in that. Think about this phrase. If you don't have something to do, I will give you something to do. We all heard that when we were a child by a parent or somebody. If you don't have something to do, I'll give you something to do. And it's kind of like that stay busy mindset. So the concept now of like taking a step back or not filling your calendar completely with all these meetings and Zoom calls and things like that, and to actually carve out time for thinking or, for brainstorming is a very new concept, because habitually we are always told to be busy, work real hard. And I talk about the distinction between better thinking versus more effort. And like I said, activity drives out thought. So, if somebody's just the hardest working person, they're not usually going to come up with the best ideas because they're just so overwhelmed. It's kind of like our phone, our smartphone. If you want to go to take a picture on it and you ever get that thing, it says like storage capacity, you have no more storage. Well, that's how I'd say a majority of knowledge workers, business owners are going around with, is they've got no capacity to fully execute on what they're doing because, they've got all up here. And so really being able to have the bandwidth to execute on something is very key.
How do you bounce those two things off of each other, where it's, okay, you can go out and work hard, and accomplish nothing because you're trying to work hard at a whole bunch of different things, or you can work very smart at one thing and accomplish a lot with it? I mean, where do you see that dichotomy come in, and what should we be thinking about when it comes to hard work versus focused, smart excellence in doing something?
You have kind of two periods. You have preparation and priority. Preparation is, okay, let's get clear on our game plan. Okay, let's see, these are the homes that we're going to target, or these are the calls that we're going to make. Let's put a game plan together. And then the prior, when it comes to working on our priorities, okay, tomorrow we're going to spend 2-3 hours knocking out calls, and then we're going to do a little debrief afterwards, as opposed to just getting up every day and just cranking, with something, so having kind of batching the two, like batching the time that you take to prepare and to think and to kind of analyze. And then when you go hard, and then to, go hard for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So kind of having that ebb and flow of that to kind of really see, okay, where do we need to adjust? Where are we making progress? Where we're not making progress? Because sometimes the flip side of that, it's like sales, right? Sales is easy if you work it hard, and it's hard if you work it easy. And I know a lot of people that tend to work it easy, and it's always hard for them. They're always trying to chase the next best thing. And so it's like, no, if you just, let's get consistent, and then, we can kind of incorporate something else. So it's kind of having those two, batching that level of thinking time with application. One of my concepts is micro to momentum, starting something. So something, whether it's somebody wants to write a book, somebody wants to get in shape, try to go as micro as possible. Like if you're writing a book, okay, let's just write one line. People say, oh, I could do that. Okay, great. Write one line, and then try to do it tomorrow. And then you're going to start to trick yourself into, okay, I can do 2 lines. I can do a paragraph. I can do 1 page. Okay, so you got to really generate that momentum. And then over the course of, 65, 70 days, it becomes that unconscious thought, that habit where the effort itself doesn't seem so paralyzing, or if it's like reading a book, people think, oh, just the mere fact, I've got to read a book and, the book's 400 pages, whatever, that can be overwhelming. But if you say, yeah, I'm just going to read a page, just kind of you have to really trick yourself into that. You really have to kind of trick yourself into that little micro step, and then to generate that level of momentum. We get tired in life, not by what we do, but what we don't do that weighs on our mind. And then it's like, oh man, I should have done this today. Oh, I wish I could have gone for a walk. I wish I would have called that person. And that's normally times where we start to beat ourselves up, and we create that level of incongruence in ourselves.
Some really good points there. I love that. What weighs on us is what we don't get done. I mean, you think about that. The things you get done, it's such a relief. It's so energizing when you accomplish something, when you've got a project, or, you're even just going to the gym in the morning. When I'm done with that, I feel energized, not by the act of going to the gym, but the fact that I did something for myself.
And we try to go from idea to execution. We get an idea, and then we go right to like some, and it's like, no, let's go from idea to filter, idea to like, okay, what's the goal, impact, and focus of this new project we want to take on? Because that's a lot of times employees are overwhelmed because, a manager, somebody gets this idea and they want to implement it. And it's kind of like, well, we've got 7 other things that we're trying to juggle right now. Where does that fit into here? And so that's always the biggest thing. And that goes back to what I said earlier. Our ability to generate ideas will always exceed our ability to execute. And, that's at the core of it. So it's being able to, like, as you said, say no, or not right now.
Eric, I have a question for you that I ask every one of our amazing guests on the show. And I know you're going to have a really cool answer to this, because you You've already filled us with a lot of gold here, man. There's a lot of great information. Eric, how do you start your day with a win?
Right out of the gate, before my feet even hit the ground, I start talking to myself. So when my head is still on the pillow, like when my eyes come up, I start talking to myself, man, today's going to be a great day. Man, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this interview with Adam. I feel great. I feel terrific. I start the self-talk because that is the very first thing that I start to get going. Because if not, then it's like we're dead in the water. Like, oh man, what's today? Oh, okay, today's Thursday. Oh, today's Wednesday. Oh, okay, how many days till the weekend? And that's where that kind of starts. So immediately positive self-talk right out of the gate.
Awesome. Eric Papp, Agape Leadership, keynote speaker, author, just a great guy and one heck of an achiever. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you for starting your day with a win.
Thank you, Adam. Enjoyed it.
Yes, and hey, thank you for listening to Start With a Win. Listen, Adam is releasing his book very soon. It comes out this fall. So get on the pre-order list. You want to pre-order this book. It's fantastic. You're going to be motivated, inspired, and it's going to change your life. So pre-order that book. Don't forget to go on to iTunes and subscribe, write a review, rate the show. And for more great content and to find out all the places you can get that book, head over to startwithawin.com. Hit us up on YouTube if you're just listening to this and maybe want to see some of the visuals and our crazy dances. Like, subscribe, all that great stuff. And until next time, start with a win.
Now that's my favorite kind of conversation.
All right. Hey.
Let's talk about how to make ourselves better, people. Right?
Yeah.
What's up with that bookshelf behind you? That looks like it's got some ancient books in it, or it looks like a secret chamber.
It's like Encyclopedia Britannica.
It's like you can push on it, it opens up to a war room. Is it a secret safe?
This
There you go.
This is a backdrop, actually.
Let's go.
So
I thought you were going to reach up and pull one of the books down and it would go and open up.
Yeah, exactly. Indiana Jones. There's like...
Yeah. No, I saw this. I mean, my bookshelf is not as nice or not as like uniform as this one, so I thought, you know, let me up my game here and just get some that looks like that. Yeah. So
it looks legit. You put it a little bit further behind you, you know, and it'll go a little bit out of focus, and then it'll
classy.
Just be that much.
You know, you can just
you
or
I
could
could
smell the books looking at them. You're like, that
the
old
leather.
book.
Yeah, or I could see you with a fat stogie just smoking a cigar, like, come into my office.
So, the fireside chats. Yeah.
That's right. Well, hey, Eric, thanks so much for being on Start With a Win. And if you're watching this on YouTube, obviously you're watching it because you made it this far. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you like this conversation, and the little bell icon. It'll remind you every time a new episode is released. So until next time, we'll see you when we see you.